With me here today, we have Danny Mariscal. He is one of our solutions engineers in charge of working with all of you into how to adopt Zoom, new products for Zoom, new features, getting everybody updated. We have Shane Springer here. He is our solutions architect. Shane, you have so many titles but anything that's super technical, things that go over everybody's head, that's here. He is going to be talking about some of the new features and new releases that we're going to be showcasing probably May timeframe, somewhere in there. And then as an agenda and then we have Debbie McFarland, who is the account manager for the Pacific Northwest, so Oregon, Alaska, and the state of Washington. For me, I'm based out of headquarters. I just want to put it out there for those of you that want to come and visit us in San Jose. Please let us know. We would love, it's an open door policy over there. We'd love to have you and host you there and show you what we got going. From time to time, Eric Yon, our founder, does pop in into some of these meetings. So, who knows, right? So, but definitely with lots of cool things that we're doing over there. And then we will be, you actually get to interact with a lot of Zoomies there. Let me go ahead and launch this here. So as an agenda, we're going to be following a couple of things. One is we're going to be doing a demo of Zoom Rooms. What is a Zoom Room? From there, we'll go ahead and level set as to AV capabilities of Zoom Room, native AV capabilities, and in some cases, how we can simplify rooms. The whole idea of the product is really how do we get spaces that have tons of capability with multi-camera, multi-displays. Where we can do wireless content share, but there's really no infrastructure powering that other than Zoom on the cloud, and then really just streamlining that experience, flattening that learning curve, and just really bringing down the cost, which is going to allow to scale that experience, right? So let's go ahead and get us going with Mark. Oh, wow. Let's see if we can. This is a little. Don't we have speakers for?
It's not. They're not connected to.
Hey, Felipe.
Hey, Mark. Oh, yeah. Can you guys hear Mark?
Yeah.
All right.
Hola, Felipe.
Hola, Mark. Can you hear us?
No, don't got him.
Yes, I think. Can you hear us now?
I think he's joining. I think he's joining. Yeah, he's probably joining. Yeah.
Hello. Oh. Yeah, I got it here on mine. Mark, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. So with us, we have Mark Berrigan. He is the head of Zoom Rooms for the Americas. And then what he's going to be doing is he's going to be showing you everything that we're doing with Zoom, some of the things that we're doing with Zoom Rooms, more from an AV perspective. And then he's going to be walking through headquarters and just showing you some of these rooms that we have built with using primarily the platform as the as the engine for content share and everything that we just described. So with that, Mark, you have just a lot of institutions from the Pacific Northwest and pretty much all over the country, and they're just eager to hear more about what we have to tell and the story that we have to tell. Just for
awesome.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Just Felipe, really quick, can we turn off your virtual background because I think we're literally seeing nothing.
Let me see, blur. Stop video. Yeah, just stop video. I don't see it. There you go. And I'm supposed to be. There you go. There you go.
Awesome. And so, like Felipe was saying, we're going to go through this tour here today. And if there's anything you guys want to talk a little bit about, please stop me in my tracks. Sounds like we only got 20 minutes, so we're going to kind of go quick here. So we're going to have an elevated pace and show you as much as possible. To Felipe's point, we want to show you some spaces we've developed that usually are Pro AV. We wanted to get more Pro AV stuff in there, but we're able to do it off the shelf. So we want to show you that and some other Pro AV stuff that we have here. So without further ado, let's go and walk through the tour. And again, stop me if you want to talk. We have a lot of experts. I know we have Felipe and Shane in the audience there, so we can answer a lot. One of the first things we want to talk a little bit about, we won't not spend too much time, but is our virtual kiosk. This is something we developed during the pandemic, and it's evolved quite a bit since then. So I can walk right up to it, click on the actual receptionist button. This opens up a submenu which is completely customizable. Super cool. Receptionist, deliveries, catering, security. So if something goes wrong in this floor, I can quickly get a hold of a security team. They'll come over here and help us out. Facilities, someone breaks a glass or spills coffee, we can click on that. I didn't even know we had a facilities team to do that, but they'll come and they'll help us clean that up. And IT support, help with my Mac or PC. We can get help very easily. with clicking that button. Sorry, did I get a question?
No more, continue.
Okay. The nice thing about IT support though, this button is actually integrated into our contact center. And we can have, for example, a bank of IT specialists if I click that button from 8 to 5 and a whole different bank of IT specialists from 5 to onwards. The nice thing about that is they can either work here in the office, which they are one floor above me, or they can also work remotely. Doesn't matter, when I click on that button, I will find them. For now, what I'm gonna do is click on the receptionist button, and this is gonna go in the background and find someone that is gonna answer the call for us here today. The nice thing here is I just, as an end user, it was very easy for me to click on that. Hey Dave, how's it going? Hey, we have a lot of universities in here from the Pacific Northwest today. Mind if we bring them in for a tour?
Only if you have the password.
1, 2, 3.
No, I'm joking about it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So you saw how easy it was for me to just walk up, click on that, and I'm off and running. Again, there's a lot of practical use cases here. Visitor management as well is on here now. The nice thing about this is a lot of our customers wanted to retire third-party software. We have it now on our platform. You might already own this, you don't even know, as well as workspace reservation. So we'll go ahead and continue on now on the tour. Before I go into our first stop though, we do have the same functionality on a larger scale with this big 65-inch screen. And you can see here, I can click on it and I can see what's available, what's not throughout our environment. We're really cool with the amount of updates we've done here. So I can see where this room is simply by clicking on directions, and it gives me my little wayfinding and tells me how to get there. We can even have multiple paths if we want to show the customer or end users here how to do that. So super cool, very easy to use. That is our workspace reservation system. One of the things when we show you our rooms right outside is we have our scheduling displays. Our scheduling displays are super simple to set up. This used to be a complicated process ourselves. We used to use iPads or other third parties that we used to use. We now have multiple manufacturers. Super easy for me to walk up to it, click on reserve. Now you can see here I can adjust the time slot. If I wanted something right now, obviously this is booked for you, but if I wanted to switch rooms, no matter where I'm at, whether I'm at home, on the way to work, or here at work, I have access to this floor plan. The nice thing here is I can go to a completely different room, click on reserve, and it takes me to the interface of a totally different room. These scheduling displays are free of charge as long as you maintain a Zoom One Enterprise license or a Zoom Room license. And the nice thing about them is, again, we have multiple manufacturers, all configured from our portal. You don't have to go in and hire somebody and write custom code for it. Super easy to set up. Also, if I look down the hallway, you're going to notice that if I'm running late and I just want to jump into a room, I have red and green LED indicators on the side. I can quickly hop in or out of one of these rooms super easily. Our first stop over here is going to be one of our larger conference rooms. And what I wanted to point out here is how we set this up. Prior to the pandemic, we did have a ton of cables and wires. We really wanted to simplify the installation in this space and make it super easy. So we ripped out all those cables, ripped out all the compute we had behind here, and we just have this Logi Rally bar and a few other devices we're going to show you right now. If I open up the background over here, you can see that all I really need is 4 cables, 2 HDMI, 1 network, 1 power, and that's it. The reason for that is our customers are saying we want to have video everywhere now. So we needed to take a scalable approach. We can install one of these. Ed, who's behind the camera, can do it in 1 to 2 hours versus 1 to 2 days it took before. And it's much cheaper, 1/4 the cost of what we had in here before. So the nice thing about this solution as well is I have the touch panel in the front of the room, but what I want to do here is open up my phone. Now I'm going to click on the room controller app. Now on the room controller app, I'm going to hit on control nearby room. Ultrasonic frequency hits my phone, and I'm paired to it. Super easy to do. Now I'm going to join you guys in the call.
So we're replicating the user interface on our iOS or Android devices, up to 10 of those at the same time.
So now I unmuted, and the nice thing about this is no matter what I do on my phone, it's going to reflect on the touch panel. If I mute my video, unmute my video, adjust volume, it's all the same interface. So super easy to use. All right, let's talk a little bit about this room and how it works. So what I want to do first and foremost is just show you the traditional bowling alley view. The bowling alley view is traditional, right? Prior to the pandemic, it was just accepted that we have a single camera per room. When we first installed this room, we had a single camera. I'm going to go and do just a regular auto framing. The thing about auto framing when I click on that is it's going to notice that Ed is outside of the room. The nice thing about what the Logi team has done is now they can set up what's called a barrier. a video barrier, so it will not go outside of the glass. It knows to stay within the table and ignore anybody who's outside of the room. However, when Ed walks in, it'll automatically adjust. So that's a subtle thing that's been added, but it's huge in terms of not getting the extras. And we'll have more people join the room as well to sit across from each other, because what I want to do now is activate more than just a single camera. In this room, we now have 5 different cameras, all off the shelf, all easy to install. So what I'm going to do, and then Scott, you can sit over here across the way if you don't mind. Ed's over here. I'm going to turn on speaker focus, and it's going to activate all the cameras. And the nice thing about this view over here is, normally when you're in this room, if there's crosstalk, so let's just say Ed and Scott are talking.
Yeah, so it's a unique system where it will automatically triangulate and find the active talkers that are in the room.
Well, that's really useful because obviously if there's multiple of us here, you don't want the people at the far end seeing the back of my head or the back of your nice Zoom cap there, Ed.
Yeah, it does a really nice job of capturing the people that are on the sides of the table, because we're talking to each other directly, face to face, and this is what that replicates, as opposed to looking at the front of the room, where now it's catching my side profile. Now it's replicating this natural speech that we're having across the table.
It's a far more natural experience for everybody, including us.
Yeah, and just, a subtle note on that. So, a lot of times, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. But this right here is an application. This is an example of where customers are pushing us toward this. Because during the pandemic, all of our customers had, working from home, had their own quadrant, and they came back to the office expecting that. So when they jumped into these rooms and they didn't get everybody's facial features or facial expressions, they quickly said, Zoom, what are you doing to solve that? Because our in-conference room experience sucks. And so, we've been working hard with the hardware manufacturers to get these things. Also, I have a whiteboard back here, so a companion Zoom room. And when I walk up to it, if I want to do a whiteboard session, I simply click on that, collaborate. Notice you're seeing me from the camera on the board itself. I don't have to zoom in from a camera on the side. And the nice thing over here is I can quickly just walk up to it, click on a template, which will give me a shortcut to start a diagram. And how cool is this, that I can just go ahead and start adjusting things on the fly, or annotate content, all this stuff. Very easy to use. You're seeing me from the back. And this right here, this companion Zoom room, there's no physical connection. It's logically connected in the cloud. So it's super simple to install. It's just power and network, and that's it. And you're off and running. So again, this is how we can get more of those Pro AV features scaled throughout the organization, but in a simple fashion versus a complicated way of doing it. Make sense?
Yep.
Any questions, comments, feedback?
I just want to mention that companion Zoom room, in the past you had to be provisioned by the administrator. Now, in the last revision that we just get in, we actually have a little code that you can make those assets available on demand for your users when they will it into the room. They just enter that code, the 2 pair, and then now those 2 devices are acting as one. So just imagine AV connections happening over the cloud. Go ahead.
So I'm gonna go ahead and
Mark, we have a
next
question while you walk.
Go ahead.
You might have already said, but the device that gets the individual, that picks up the people around the table, what's that?
That's called the Logi site. So it's that cylinder that you see right there in the center of the table.
What is it called?
Logi site.
So Logitech? Okay.
So, multiple manufacturers now, since Logi did that, are coming out with theirs. We're going to walk into this next room right here, which is the Neat team. The nice thing about this room is this is all Neat product. So we have the companion Zoom room in the back, which is the Neat Board 50. We have a Neat Bar Pro at the front. And the Neat Bar Pro is capable of hooking up to 3 different screens. Super cool. We have the environmental sensors as well, the temperature gauge here, the VOC of the room. We can also do the people counting. So very easy to use over here with the Neat Bar Pro. And as soon as we get that center, we'll put it at the center of the table, which would be really cool. We don't have one of those yet from Neat, but it's on the way. So looking forward to installing that. But very, very easy room to set up over here. Again, showing you just the different flavors. I can join the call really quickly. I'll show you how this one works. Okay, don't want to go too much into this right here, but you can see now this is the bowling alley view. I'm going to quickly turn on Smart Gallery. So this is a single camera that's going to pop everybody out of the main screen here. We're going to get our own unique quadrants. And the nice thing about that is I get my gallery view just like if I was working from home. Now you can't even tell that I'm actually in a conference room. Ed, by the way, who's about 6'7", the camera's following him. If he sits down, you're going to see him as well auto, adjust. Also, nice thing about this, there's barriers. I think Neat was the one that really brought this to the market. So if I go all the way to the back and sit back here, it's going to focus in on me. But what's going to happen is it's going to quickly realize I'm outside of the barrier. So it has also the video barrier over here. And when I'm at the back of the room, it'll basically just now eliminate me. And that's by design. So if you have people walking across the back, or if you have a picture, it's going to only pick me up if I come back to the actual table and sit down. So super easy, super cool for me to use this technology. Again, this is probably more designed for small to medium-sized rooms, where we're doing the smart gallery and popping everyone out. So I'll just preface it by saying this is not the technology you want to use in a large-scale room, but in a smaller room, you'd be doing smart gallery. We'll get to how you would solve a larger room here in a second.
Yeah, one thing to
I'll be
mention,
right back.
you saw 3 displays on that wall. Zoom Rooms has that room was built prior to Zoom being able to support 4 displays, but we can support 4 native displays to the experience, and you can display 4 different things on them if necessary, all directly from the Zoom UI. Now, this is going to be multi-camera, so Mark, I'm kind of queuing it up for you. But we're seeing this adopted into health sciences labs because it just makes it a lot easier and a lot scalable. But Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, so the nice thing about this room is we have 3 cameras into one single Zoom room. So we have one camera at the very back that's responsible for viewing the entire room here. And the nice thing about that is you get the aspect of what the bird's eye view of the entire room, so you can see what's going on. But then we also have, in this case over here, the doctor camera. The doctor camera is going to focus on the doctor, on he or she that's doing the procedure or a training. And then of course we have the last but not least, we have the camera that's focused on the procedure being done to the patient. Now, this is something that, you can call it a remote surgical room or a med sim. And these are something, Shane, you can chime in here, but I think Shane used to build these rooms for minimum $100,000. This we built here for roughly about, $12,000 or $13,000. So a lot of our customers are circling back to, they see this and they go, wow, we're actually building one of those med sims that are super expensive. Then they quickly realize we could build 5 or 6 of these instead of building those big complicated rooms, right? Not saying those are bad, just saying this is a much more scalable approach. The reason why it's possible is Zoom Rooms now have the capability of installing 3 or 4 cameras versus in the past you could only have one single camera. And maybe you had multiple cameras, but you can only share one at a time. So multiple sharing makes this application possible.
One thing to note, Zoom Rooms has the ability to do 4 hardwired cameras and manage them individually or all at once, as well as a 5th camera on the companion Zoom Room. So you can do up to 5 cameras native to the experience.
And that's very much a medical application, whereas you guys in the classroom, right, you can see different student
Podium.
sections, things like that. So don't just think of it in our medical school. It's really more for all these complicated.
Mark, we have a question from Pepperdine. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sure.
when you're in the medicine room, how would the different video feed be controlled and pushed to the front?
So that's a little bit of movie magic for our production studio pulling in feeds. That's using our Zoom ISO tools. But we'll talk a little bit more about some of the ways you can do that stuff to bring them into your own production flows in a minute, post-tour. But that's, a little bit of movie magic.
But using Zoom tools.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
go ahead, Mark.
And we try and use as little movie magic as possible, but in that one, we just want to make sure you knew that you could do that. By the way, if I was an end user, I could have individually pinned any one of those cameras to make it the primary view for myself. The nice thing is I get that capability as an end user. So very powerful application there, and Shane will share more in a little bit when he goes over the Pro AV stuff. Now we're in a classroom. Again, this used to be a very complicated setup for us. Post-pandemic, we wanted to make it simple. So what we did was we started off with an all-in-one device. We have multiple manufacturers that could build these now. This one's a D10, but this could be, a Neat board. It could be a Yay-Link. There's multiple flavors of it. We put it on a 45-degree angle. This was based on a lot of feedback we got from universities that said if we put in a 45-degree angle, remote students want to feel like they're in the classroom. And when you're in the classroom, you see everything. You see your classmates, you see the instructor. So that's the reason why we did this, and because we got a lot of good feedback from the highest utilized classrooms that we see out there. Let me join to show you what else we have over here, because we have a lot of stuff we've added to the room. I'm not saying you have to build it all like this, but there's a lot of variations that we have. So let me join. Okay. So first and foremost, one of the most important things you're going to get in a classroom is the audio. And there's an array of microphones, 16 microphones, which are, this is a commercial grade microphone, very, very powerful. Even if I turn my back, that microphone's gonna pick you up wherever you're at in the classroom. So if I'm in the back room over here talking to a student, I don't have to really raise my voice, it's just gonna pick it up because it's a beamforming microphone that can find me wherever I'm at and focus on that loudspeaker. Another thing we have over here is, we have, of course, the whiteboarding, which I saw earlier. If I wanted to open up the whiteboard, I could do that. But what we found is not, a lot of instructors are starting to adapt electronic whiteboard, but a lot of our customers said, you know what, our instructors like to use regular document cameras. So even here, if I go and bring up over here, for example, this circuit board, I can come here and I can quickly go here and show you, like, you know what, it looks like C10 soldering joint is a problem over here. We're going to have to work on that. Now this is me using a pencil, but I also have over here a camera at the front of them, a podium. We call this our podium camera. And the nice thing is I can actually annotate from here as well. And so I can say, you know what, it is indeed the C10 soldering joint. This is the one that's having the problem. I can say that the C12 is the one that we probably want to make this most like. And in the back of the room we have what's called a companion whiteboard, which Ed now is he's working with me. And so Ed just said, yep, I can see that. Okay, I can see that he's drawing the little red box. Super, super collaborative. By the way, there's so much more we could do here, right? We just wanted to swap this out really quickly. If I want to make this and just zoom out, just so you can see this is how much it's zoomed in. But now I want to go over here. Maybe I want to just go ahead and start from scratch over here. I can see now an X-ray. So document cameras are very practical, very easy to use. Instructors that use these a lot. This is just a natural flow to the class, right? Whether I'm doing maybe, I'm having a discussion here on design of a building or whatever it is. I can quickly share things and point out via regular pencil or digitally on this podium. The podium camera is really important because I can annotate on top of it, and also I have the camera on the podium camera. By the way, this is a Yealink. It could be a neat frame, it could be a D10 on one, but the podium camera is nice because it allows me just to plug it in and I'm off and going. I don't have to do anything other than give it power, the Wi-Fi network, and then associate it to the main Zoom room. And I got another, essentially it's a companion Zoom room, but this one we call them a podium camera because it's so easy to set up, right?
Yeah. We're seeing this podium cameras, this companion Zoom rooms on the podium cameras because now that makes that podium completely wireless. All you need is power, and then now you can move it around. There's no tripping hazards, nothing. You can just have, and then now you have at the podium, you have annotation, you have the gallery, plus you have a camera for that speaker, all there, and there's really no infrastructure supporting it other than just network and power.
Don't forget your kids.
Oh, there you go. There you go, dismissed.
So really quickly, what I'll do next is just show you how to, wireless content sharing. All I gotta do is click on a button, or basically a ultrasonic frequency hits my laptop, and just like this, I have Oregon State University homepage. And wherever I'm at in the room, I'm doing this. So I have complete flexibility, a lot of feedback from instructors and trainers where I don't want to be pinned down to one spot. I want to have mobility around the classroom, and no exception here, right? Wireless screen sharing does this great. And you don't have to be pinned down, because you can see I could walk around the room, and whether I'm at the back with a companion whiteboard or at the podium or I'm in front of the actual main device, I always have that capability. One last thing I'll show in here is, maybe your instructor says, I don't like document cameras, I don't like digital whiteboard, I like a traditional whiteboard. Well, guess what? I walk back here, I have over here my Logi whiteboard as well. So this Logi Scribe allows me to quickly just jump in, and I can then start using my traditional whiteboard, or, in this case, a glass board the same way. So it's very easy for me to do this kind of stuff on the fly, and you notice that this uses AI to block out my hand once the it recognizes what's on the actual screen. It even does things like sticky notes. If I put a sticky note on there, it's going to go ahead and read that, put it on there as well. So again, the important thing to note here is not all instructors want to be dictated how they teach, and this is no exception. With this device over here, you saw we have the digital whiteboard, we have the document camera, we have the podium, a lot of different ways of building it. And by the way, there's nothing physically connected here. It's all logically connected in the cloud. which makes it super simple to set up. So more scalable, more of these types of rooms versus just having that one room that's like has everything and is super, super expensive. This is an easy way to scale that. Not saying you don't have those large auditoriums. That's where you really need to spend a lot of time with your pro AV getting that right, because this wouldn't work in a large auditorium. But definitely for all your medium, larger classrooms, this will work great for those. Any questions?
Any questions from the audience? We're good? All right. I think we're moving into Intelligent Director. I'll set it up, Mark. So Intelligent Director is one of the latest features still in beta. It's in a public beta for those that want to try it out. What it's doing is similar to what he did with Smart Gallery, but using 3 cameras when you have 3 different vantage points. But Mark, go ahead and guide us through.
Yeah. So right here, we're going to show you how this could be like a teaching cockpit or just an immersive teaching environment. What we have here is this large screen. It's a 105-inch, and by the way, this is an actual touch screen. So if I click on something here, it's going to respond nicely. So this whole thing I can work here. Let me jump into the meeting because I know we're short on time, so let me just jump in. Okay, so whether I like to work here, and what's going to happen is I have actually 4 cameras here, 3 in the front, and I have the 1 in the back. The nice thing about the 1 in the back is if I like to present and teach over here, I can quickly do that on the fly. So I could walk around here. You're always going to get a shot of me. But what about if I just wanted to go and sit down and teach from there or just present from there? I could do that. So if I'm going to sit down, and Ed, you can join me as well. But this is a cool thing, is I have my touch screen here. And I could have done this from the front, but if I want to do a whiteboard session or share my screen, I can quickly do this just by clicking on continue here. Now I'm sitting down, I'm comfortable, whether I'm getting content here, which I can see, which by the way, a lot of times folks say that, you know what, I can't see, I don't have the best vision, so I have to walk up to the front of the room and see that. I have everything right here in front of me now. I can see everything super clear right here. This is a 20, this, by the way, nothing super expensive, it's just an iPad. It could be an Android device as well, either one. And you can see it here, you can see in the front of the room, super clear what I could do. Can even zoom in. I could do all these things with the whiteboarding or the content, super easy to use. Yeah. Also, you'll notice that it crops people out. So this is Intelligent Director. We have 3 cameras. It's cropped myself out, it's cropped Ed out. So everybody in the space has their own quadrant as well. And this right here, the immersion that this has, whether I'm teaching at the front of the room or right here sitting down with my laptop or with this companion touch panel, which we don't really have a name for this yet, but it's just kind of a companion Zoom room that's sitting on the desktop. Shane can tell you more about this and where we're headed. Then we have the 3 cameras. So you can see, super simple to set up. We used to build rooms like this with Cisco telepresence that were $300,000. We did this in, with those $300,000 rooms, you're talking about 3 or 4 really expensive codecs per camera. Now we could do this with and this, by the way, only has a single PC that's probably about $800 or $900, controlling the entire thing. So this is the evolution of kind of where we were with telepresence, but we get way more functionality for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah. One thing to note is that whiteboard is also interactive for anybody that's participating on that Zoom session. So if you have other institutions, other campuses that are joining that class, maybe 7 or 8, that becomes a collaborative experience with any student, any of those classrooms can collaborate with another classroom that's miles away. Yes, please.
So does Intelligent Director need to run on PC?
So today we have PC and Mac,
But it's not in the cloud.
But it's not in the cloud. That processing is there, and then appliances, Android appliances, will be later this year. Mm-hmm.
We'll also point out, we just previewed at Enterprise Connect this week down in Orlando that as we move forward, we'll have a name tags feature that can actually recognize the people that are actually on the film and then replace film, LI95, and replace the names there so it'll actually say, Ed and Mark and not just a kind of generic room name, so you can, on the far end, feel much more involved and much more included in a hybrid experience between a room and an individual remote participant.
So, Shane, are you saying I can go back and change my name now from Boardroom 4 to Mark again? Because I legally changed it to Boardroom 4 for this.
I think keep it for now, because that's, on your kids' birth certificates. But
All right, guys. Mark, thank you so much for your time. We just wanted to show you some of the basic AV capabilities that we can do on the cloud with Zoom. We're going to be, again, now when you start to fold some of the integrations that we have with the learning management systems and all these other things that start automating the whole experience and making the experience in the classrooms and other places a lot more cohesive, and where you can keep record and all of that intellectual property that's created in these classes, where it now makes sense and now resides in the LMS. Now that experience gets enhanced and far more powerful than just something that is just playing video conferencing. So that really takes this to a whole new level. A lot of universities are using it as we speak. Lots of them are adopting it, but the LMS really becomes a critical piece for that. And we'll go into that on the roadmap here.
Cool. Thanks, Mark.
All right, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, guys. I'm going to leave this meeting, and then let me go ahead and just we're going to do a quick. If I have internet, yep. Let me just open a new.
We tried to get Mark to do the whole thing, but.
So this is, again, very high-level overview as to what we're doing from a roadmap as to what you guys are going to see. You guys saw some of these things, but just to level set, you guys saw it during the demo. We can manage up to 5 cameras. We went with that, 4 hardwire, 1 on the cloud, 4 monitor outputs. We can do 2 additional monitors in companion mode, and then on those, if those 3 monitors are touch, they have a touch interface. That means you have 3 annotating surfaces across the room that can be used as so that way people are not gravitating back to the front of the room, or so you can actually have it very interactive and just give a lot of freedom to your presenters. Really is meant to become the AV hub of a space. That's what we're aiming for, and really just for having teachers and the people and the presenters not to interact with the user interface too much. We think at Zoom that the best user interface is not to have a user interface. We want the AI and all the tools that we have within the cloud to really enable a very collaborative experience where there is very, very little engagement with the technology. So that makes the engagement far more effective. And again, there's really very little training when people are using these spaces. Just as anything, here, we're all among friends, so this please doesn't leave the room, obviously. But then there's also saying that there may be some dates that may slip from a development perspective, so don't hold us to it. But we usually are pretty good at just keep innovating. For those of you that work actively with us, we literally are a development rocket ship. We're always just innovating, more than you think. I mean, a lot. So this is my world. I'm a Zoom Spaces specialist. I do work in spaces, from a digital signage perspective. For those that have Zoom rooms, I just know that you guys, by having 1 Zoom room in your account, you have 250,000 licenses for digital signage that you'll have to do is just enable and start putting them all over the place. Also scheduling displays, 1 scheduling display like the one Mark was showing you. If you want to associate it with your calendar and get it integrated with your calendar, Gmail or G Suite or Outlook or our own Zoom, you have unlimited licensing for that. So every door in every space that you want to do that, all you have to buy is the hardware. Licensing is there. Visitor management, brand new feature. I won't touch too much into that. I don't think you guys are in charge of facilities, but if this is of interest, please let us know. Same thing with virtual receptionists. You guys saw that workspace reservation. You saw a little bit of that. But then let's jump into Zoom rooms, right? That's what we came here for. Again, you saw Intelligent Director. We're really growing this technology. This is all AI powered. So AI for Zoom is through and through. Every single thing that you see on Zoom, from virtual backgrounds to now all these production rules that we're putting on Zoom, they're all AI based. So the actual platform, it leverages AI for pretty much everything that we do in order to really enhance the experience and really make the experience a lot more human. Than having people having to go to an interface or having to go back to their computer. We want them to present. We want them to be engaged with their audience one-on-one. We don't want the technology to become a barrier to good engagement. So some of the things that we have done in the last few months, in that we need to talk about smart name tags. I think it's pretty good.
7 minutes left.
7 minutes.
So we're going to have to fly.
Yeah, let's do the more fun ones. Right here, so Intelligent Director, it's smart name tags. Again, 2 opt-in features here for those that are concerned about security and privacy. You as an institution will have to enable that, and then from there people will load their picture and then we start recognizing them. And within your tenant only, it doesn't go in Zoom world, it's only within your tenant. And then from there, if you have any notes or any transcriptions or anything like that, all the dialogue that's happening in classrooms or in meetings will be tagged with the name of the speaker. So Felipe speaking, and then it'll say what I said, then Shane, all those. And then multi-speaker view, this is where we now start making things more obvious for the presenter. So as you have dominant speakers, those windows, those quadrants become bigger. For those that are just engaging a little bit, they're kind of medium sized, and for those that are not engaging at all, they'll be very smaller. So we start making things more obvious for those that are participating in the meetings. And again, AI is powering that whole experience. Here, companion Zoom rooms, we talked about that. These are pretty much AV connections over the cloud, confidence monitor, so that fourth display can do either content or actually give you the ability to do confidence for your presenters to see what they're doing in relation to the room. And then Zoom apps, and then this is where I'm going to turn it over to Shane to go over some of the Pro AV things that we're doing. We are looking at growing capability in the rooms, not through hardware, not through having to overhaul the whole thing. We're trying to grow capability through apps on Zoom rooms. So, please.
And so just recently, we added QSys support for the controller apps. We have Extron and Crestron today, so if you're using anything else, I guess let us know, but I'll be a little surprised. And then as we then look forward into the slides that Felipe is going to jump to, which really were just to give you something cool to stand in front of. The big thing that we want to really focus in on is that we are 2 years back bought a company called Liminal. They did a fantastic thing with our SDK where they created a thing called Zoom ISO that let you pull audio and video feeds out, to let you grab control pins. So if somebody raises a hand, you get an automation event around that. And that has enabled all kinds of cool use cases. But it wasn't really meant for installed rooms. And so coming this summer, hopefully in May presently, we are going to be adding a lot of those features, functionalities, and use cases into Zoom Rooms, but in a different perspective for permanent installation. And so where you have auditoriums, big classrooms, where you have specialty spaces, where you have provost that needs stuff very specific, whatever it may be, where you need that next level of control over the media, you can control media in and out with a lot of these features. Anybody that doesn't know them, I guess check your table out there, but NDI, Dante, SDI, all things that we're looking to support. So in the May timeframe, we'll have hardware I/O, Zoom Room, Thunderbolt over to a big SDI enclosure, so you can just pull feeds out, and then expanding our existing NDI and Dante support in bidirectional and more features and functions and all kinds of good stuff there. So that's really how we're enhancing the connectivity into these spaces. We're also going to have an additional chunk of API work. This is something that is definitely inside of that safe harbor statement, but we have our ZRC SDK coming very soon. So if any of you, show of hands who's used the CS API. You poor bastard. A horrible solution that got more horrible over time. We're sorry. Now we're replacing it with something that is actually next level. And so what this is going to do is anything that your user might see on a Zoom Room controller, they're going to be able to report programmatically. Anything they could touch on a Zoom Room controller, you're going to be able to touch virtually. And so that is something that's coming out pretty shortly here as an SDK, and then we expect that all the big, the RONs will pick that up and create modules so that it's easier for you guys to implement as well. That is, super high level on that, but we also have Zoom OSC. If anybody's familiar with OSC as a control protocol, that is already supported in the Zoom OSC product. We'll bring a lot of those hooks into rooms as well, so you have a similar kind of parallel there. And then lastly, new hardware, right? Zoom Rooms continue to grow in what people want to get out of them, and so as a result, we continue to grow in the hardware we support, both the types as well as the quantity, and so we've got all kinds of new fun stuff coming in the capture card world, both in and out, all kinds of good stuff there, and that's going to continue to grow. So if you don't know, zoom.us/hardware has a full listing of everything that's certified, has all kinds of filters, so you can kind of get to what you're looking for pretty easily. And that is the 20-second tour of that. And lastly, we've got a huge chunk of different things happening over in kind of SDK API village. I know that for a lot of you, web APIs are a relatively new thing that you're really trying to integrate into what you're doing, whether it's for monitoring, whether it's for proactive control from centralized support location, whatever it may be. But we've got through liminal, Zoom ISO, Zoom OSC, and ignore Zoom cuts. And then we also have some great new Zoom apps. These run directly inside of the meeting. So for things like live streaming, you can just spin up that meeting and then easily say, I want to also live stream that to Facebook. I want to also live stream that to YouTube, and just quickly go through those streaming options. So it's that much easier for people to be able to do a live stream without necessarily needing a lot of production support and AV assist. Which I like long lunches, that sounds good to me. And then lastly, we just announced our work with Unreal and Unity to be able to facilitate these 3D engines. These 3D engines allow for you to plug Zoom into virtual built environments. This can be really cool from an events perspective, where maybe you want to create a cool backdrop for the dean to deliver XYZ. It can be really cool from a lab functionality for the student body, as you have computer science folks and art folks that are coming together to create these new experiences. Being able to bring video in and out of it, I think, is pretty huge. And then lastly, as we get into wherever your broadcast team may live, your special events team, or even if you hire it in, we are working with all of these logos to bring exciting new features based on our SDKs into that workflow, so that you can go to the Big 12 championship and be able to broadcast that at a professional quality. Or if you're Stanford, you can beat Iowa State and make me mad at you. That is kind of the
Payback for CSA.
the super fit. But really, there wouldn't have been enough time in 6 hours to tell you about all the different integration capabilities of Zoom Rooms. We have Dante native on it without a DSP. We've got NDI output feeds. We've got an ability to tap into events and webinars and all this other stuff. So as you are going through your process from here, the big takeaway that I want to leave you with is this. If you see an application and you say, I don't feel like Zoom Rooms is a fit for this, it probably is. So give us a call. There's a lot of stuff we can do, and we're always willing to figure out how we can kind of continue to develop feature sets to fit your needs. That's the whole reason we're here.
Mm-hmm. Any questions? Anything? One thing that you got some swag too for some questions. But one of the things that we want to also, again, you saw more on the AV side of the house. Some of the things that we're doing from an integration. I think if this is something that you're looking to integrate into the classroom, but in order to start to enhance the hybrid experience, let us know. There's a lot that can be done with other platforms, like, for example, if you're doing Panopto, Cultura, associating all these things and automating all that from Zoom. Zoom can actually manage all those relationships over the cloud, and it really just becomes a one-button type of experience, or just an auto launch for your teachers. People just walk into the room and everything's happening for them. So if this is from a classroom technology, please let us know. We do have some great demos, some great things that we can show you as to how do we fold in all our platforms that are interacting with us, that are constantly developing new tools in order to really make the spaces better and really just flatten that workflow. So it's just easy. Again, instructors that want to get their hands dirty with technology, they can do it. But for those that are intimidated, but they still need to use these tools in order to really create new people, new enrollment and things like that, technology doesn't need to be a barrier. The room still functions, and they just teach as they always taught, right? If they want to use analog tools, they can do that too. We, as you saw, we can still use those tools and take advantage of them. So go ahead, Debbie. It's all you.
Sorry for the CSAPI.
So these are the famed "You're on Mute" shirts. Don't be on mute and ask some questions, please, and you can earn a T-shirt.
Go ahead.
So it was very impressive how, I forgot Mark's name, was moving, the cameras were following him automatically, but the microphones were not really feeding back. The actual microphones were turning on, turning off as the cameras moved?
So yes, so our production team is the one doing that, but everything's being powered by our liminal, our Zoom ISO experience. So that is
But inside the room, as they move around, that's all single array, right? So that's every video source has its own kind of shared muxed audio. So if you're seeing person A and person B, you're hearing just the array at the front of the room. So yeah, as he's moving around that classroom, that was all single mic following him in real time.
And does he have a little IFB in his ear
Sure
so he can
does.
hear
Yes.
walking around?
Yeah,
He sure does.
He's got to hear all my jokes. What's the point?
Yeah, there's a question in the back.
Go ahead.
For somebody who just purchased a license and has a whole bunch of old AV equipment that they're going to replace, do you have people that can come down and take a look at your space?
We account team can be kind of the first line of support to say, you know, what are we working with, how can we help best? And then from there, we actually have a whole professional services group as well, who can even come do the reinstallation for you.
Yeah.
So we can kind of offer across the whole gamut.
Awesome, thank you.
Go ahead.
What part of San Jose are you in?
So we're right in downtown. So if you're familiar with San Jose, SAP, right next to the SAP Arena, we're right there.
Oh.
San Jose is this big.
Go ahead.
So are you getting into live streaming yourself, so you don't have to have a third-party provider provide the live streaming distribution?
I think, you know, the best way to facilitate that today is through the events platform or the sessions platform, where we can, you know, kind of bring in a huge quantity of people directly into a simultaneous video experience. As far as going, you know, straight into like a dedicated VOD, time will tell. If you need it, let us know. We're always happy to help. But I think right now we facilitate that through events. We don't have a separate offering around that.
Yes.
My question is more along the lines of what kind of training materials can you provide for like Zoom rooms? Because we have a lot of faculty that are not quite tech savvy.
Mm-hmm.
And so having both like at a glance, how do I quickly do this, but also more in-depth training available.
Yeah.
Like what do you guys offer along those
Well, you get
lines?
3 different flavors here. One, we have the Zoom Learning Center, which you can get to easily in the bottom section of our website. 2, most accounts in the space are going to have a mapped CSM, so the customer success manager can help do training as well, both planning training and sometimes delivery training. And then we also have kind of a hodgepodge of other things we can facilitate as needed, but the big one is that we have inside of digital signage, there's an already pre-canned how to use guide. So you can just go into digital signage, which is included in every room already, even if you don't use it in other places on campus, and be able to say, I want to go to how-to guides, and I want that to be rotating when people come in, so they can see exactly how to use the room before they even turn it on.
Mm-hmm. Anna.
Yes. Lucia, you mentioned that about being able to work with Henao, which I already knew, because at our university, we already have it connected,
Mm-hmm.
and so instructors can automatically have their Zoom videos transfer over. So I'm talking about experience, asking about experience itself, like you showed, if we have the infrastructure set up
Mm-hmm.
for this type of experience in the room for people remotely as well as in place, does it still, the quality, is it going to be good quality when it's delivered? But the reason I'm asking that is because sometimes with the integrations, the quality goes down in the final product.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna say who or what company, but so I just wanted to make sure that that's maintained, the clarity, and especially, which I'm really excited about, is that be able to have the camera on the whiteboards,
Mm-hmm.
because we have so many faculty asking for that.
Yeah, that quality is going to stay pegged to the maximum, essentially. There are certain things where it's like if we have a gallery that's say in 1080, individual tiles are obviously going to be lower resolution, but if they go into spotlight, things like that, they'll come back to full resolution. There's also, he says vaguely, a whole lot more coming for recording in the next balance of the year. So do keep an ear open on that, because there's a lot of stuff that we want to do to really continue to uplevel that.
We have I'll get to you. No? No, go ahead.
This year, yeah.
It's the person in front of you, please go ahead.
No, I'm just curious, we have a lot of classrooms where we're teaching like hybrid type, high flex type situations, and so is there like a resource for best practices for how those are set up? Because we kind of home grew it ourselves, and so just wanted to reach out to you guys and get some ideas for
So we do have, again, ideas, right? But in a lot of cases, it really goes down to your institution's culture and how you're deploying this and the strategy that you're using. We are going to be, Utah State University is going to be hosting an event in May. For those of you guys are more than welcome. And they are pretty good about designing the spaces as well. And then they have a pretty good strategy because they have to do a lot of virtual classes. They have 308 academic courses all on Zoom rooms. They're delivering all across the state of Utah, and I think they do some international as well. But to your point, really depends. So, you know, do you have receive rooms? You can have originating rooms. Are you going to do teaching cockpits? So there's just a lot of different styles depending as to what kind of experience you're looking to deliver. If it's just going to be one to many, or if there's going to be people that are going to be in the room. So we can definitely talk about that and the technologies that are going to go in there. But you can always talk to your Zoom team and then engage a specialist like myself. And if it gets more into the weeds, we can always get to that.
This is not a flight, but I was noticing during your presentation that the lipstick seemed to be pretty far off. Is that something that's just
Not the
typical?
norm, yeah, not sure what's going on there.
Okay, because I was like, that's
I think it's a product of the room because the other room was doing the same thing with video and playback, so I think it's just the infrastructure in the room experience itself.
So go ahead. So my apologies.
Oh, sorry. I know you guys mentioned something about like movie magic happening in the background. Is Zoom Cuts the whole back end?
Yeah, so Zoom ISO is how we're fueling a lot of that back end. Zoom Cuts is a very Mac-specific automation thing, and that's kind of why I was skipping over it. But we do have, we essentially integrate with some hardware in the back end that lets us not only be able to feed those chats in at the push of a button, things like that. So if you have really white-gloved, kind of facilitated big classrooms, that's definitely something we can explore a little bit more with you one-to-one around exactly what we're doing, what we might recommend in your application. And how we can kind of take everything up to 11.
So Felipe, is this supposed to be taking them to a registration? Because it's
Yes.
not yet.
Yeah, well, the registration is up, so we actually published it. It's not showing on the.
I got the event over
Oh.
March 18th.
Yeah, it should be set up.
It should be set up. All right. So my apologies about that. So right now this site is under construction. So we'll send for those of you that are here. We'll send the link, but it should be published. I don't know what happened.
We got all your badge scans. We'll send you an email.
Yeah.
Question about, I don't know if this is an ignorant question, but is there a room on the roadmap for like 4K video?
You know, I think 4K is definitely something that we're always looking at, right? Historically, you know, if people asked in like 2020 for 4K, there wasn't really a great way to infrastructurally enable it. Now things are kind of changing, right? Like most people have enough bandwidth to facilitate it in specific areas, and it's still not really something that I see people kind of traversing the edge campus-wide, but in the applications where you have like, this is a specific high-profile event, and we need 4K, things like that, there's definitely a lot that we're looking at there. One of the things that we do have already to facilitate some of the additional streams and things like that, or we just enabled feature on Zoom Rooms to support up to 5K 21.9 on the display ingest. So going out to 4K, not so much. In 4K, yes. So that we can enable apply on the back end to enable even higher resolution, where you can pull more bandwidth out of it to be able to get more tiles in higher resolution for those spaces. So there's stuff we can do to play with it. I would definitely say in your account team, and we can kind of work through that specifically. Yes.
So the lower third graphics that you were bringing in and the little picture-in-picture inset, were those movie magic or was that a part of Zoom Rooms?
So that is movie magic, but those are similar functionalities to what is offered in our production studio tool, which is built into events. So if you were to do a Zoom event with Production Studio, you can do more branded lower thirds, you can do custom backgrounds, things like that. So it's a little bit of it lives in the platform, but we kind of simulated it just to make it a little easier for us.
Well, one of it was the Logi site too, wasn't it? And I don't know if that's a.
Just for the labels, yeah. Like the custom label stuff.
The
that's
custom
all
labels.
coming from
The ones
us,
at the bottom.
but
Oh, that's what it's.
having, there's definitely a conversation around what else we might be able to do there. As you can imagine, when stuff happens in one place, because Zoom's actually very connected, things might just slide over to another place.
Yeah. Two things here for those, and again, we do spend a lot of time with institutions that are really looking to onboard Zoom Rooms. We do this all the time. So again, an hour, just a bunch of, just a high-level overview of everything is not enough. We do love to spend the time with you. So if this is something that you would like to consider, and you're looking to enhance these spaces, let us know. These sessions usually take about 8 to 10 hours of your time. So it's about a 2-day thing. So because we walk you what's possible, how we get there, highly interactive, guys. This is like roll up your sleeves, and so they're very, there's not a lot of coffee needed for those sessions, a lot going on. And then on top of that, then we go on roadmap, understanding your roadmap, and then we go into roadmap so that way you understand where we're heading, so you can also start planning for that. One thing for those of you that use Zoom Rooms today, one thing that I want to leave behind is we are moving to Zoom 6.0. That will be changing that is going to change the user interface on rooms. So start prepping for that in case you need to start kind of working on some of the training materials and things like that. Just know that that's coming. But it's not going to be cold turkey like when we went from 5.9 to 5.10. It's going to be, you know, more of a gradual thing. You'll have about 6 months as you're migrating your users and getting them trained on the new user interface. So that is coming. So just putting that out there. But for now, anything, just let us know. Again, we love engaging with our customers. A lot of the things that you see on that roadmap came from customers. We listen to our customers and we develop accordingly. So we're not developing in a vacuum. We're always developing based on feedback. All right, I think, yeah, guys. Thank you so much.